to the Buddha Brunch. I am Ned. Today on the Buddha Brunch we have Patrick Andries. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome, Ned.
Patrick
Glad to be
Andries, absolutely. Of intuitiveschool.com. Patrick has a degree from where?
DePaul University.
DePaul University in physics and biology, and a teacher's certificate in teaching metaphysics from the College of Metaphysics.
That's correct.
Good stuff. Tell us what you offer at the Intuitive School, intuitiveschool.com.
Right. Well, my wife and I, Catherine, founded the school in about 2004. And so we teach a lot of classes on developing the mind. I tend to focus a little bit more on the metaphysics. My wife focuses a little bit more on life purpose. And so teaching people how to bring out their life purpose in their lives. And in addition to that, we also offer different kinds of readings. So we offer, for example, past life readings and health readings. And my wife does astrology, which I don't really get into that aspect as much, but she is an excellent astrologer. And astrology is part of her life purpose work that she does. So she does that.
And you've put out some books, or between the two of you have some books you want to mention?
Right, sure. My wife wrote a couple of books on life purpose. She wrote one, it's called Soul Choices, and so that's Discovering Your Life Purpose. And then there's also a Soul Choices book, which is Key to Fulfilling Relationships. That's the sequel to her first book. And she also has a couple of children's books, The Big Desire, which is a book teaching children how to use visualization, develop visualization in their lives. Also a dream book called The Dream Doctor. And then we did a joint venture on dream interpretation that's called Naked in Public, Dream Symbols Revealed. So that was a book that we wrote together. And then Owner's Manual for the Mind, that's our most recent release. That one I wrote by myself.
It's about time, I
yes,
think. She's been doing most of those other ones. Or the
right, yeah. She had been publishing her books longer than I have. I had focused really on teaching classes through the school, so I wrote a lot of the curriculum. She helped with curriculum too, but that was kind of where my focus was for probably about 10 years. And so I had a lot of people who kept asking me for a book, and so finally I just started pooling all of my lessons that I've learned throughout the years together, and started with the idea of what would it have been like if we'd each been given an owner's manual for our mind, just like you get an owner's manual for your phone, you get one for your DVR, you get one for your TV, but we weren't really given one when we were born. So what would that be like? So I started to set out all those things that I wish I had been given.
Yeah, I read the beginning of the book, and that's a pretty compelling and fun way to do it. It's presented as an owner's manual. It seems like the first few chapters of the book are laying down some basics, building some skills about focus and concentration, meditation, and then those skills can be used later in various ways.
Exactly. Yeah, you picked up on that right on the spot. So the foundation, I believe, is really developing the attention. Learning how to use your attention, how to hold your attention where you want it to be for as long as you want. And we really call that concentration, being able to concentrate your attention in one place. After you start developing that skill, then you can start applying that to meditation, you can apply it to visualization, you can apply it to dream interpretation. And so that's like the trifecta. And there is a particular technique, especially what we have come to call the Edgar Cayce style readings. That's what my wife Catherine and I do, where she actually goes in a completely unconscious state. I guide her into that state, and then I facilitate the reading process. So I ask the questions and guide the reading, and she is just completely unconscious, and then I bring her back out again. And just the information that would come up. I mean, even if you don't believe in reincarnation and you say, well, something else is happening there, at the very least it confirms some kind of psychic abilities of the mind, because just the information that will come out is just amazing, and just time and time again, over years, and listening to hundreds of readings done by others doing this technique, and also doing hundreds of readings ourselves. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind there's definitely something.
Tapping into something.
Yeah, something's going on. And so I look at it more as like drops of rain in a cloud, you know, all the drops of rain, it's all water, the water's all interconnected. When the water droplets are in the sky, they're all individual, looking at each other, pointing and saying, look, you know, here I'm separate over here, and look, you're separate over there. And then as soon as they fall into the ocean, then they're just all one again. So the ocean is our source that we're all heading back to, just like water, no matter where it is in the world. Everything is always heading back down to the source of the ocean. And so that's the same way for our soul, our spiritual being, that right now we're enjoying this little kind of a sense of individuality.
Right.
But at the same time, we do all have this very deep inner connection. And it's interesting because, you know, when you're talking about tapping into a particular lifetime, there's no way to really prove that it's specifically linear, but we ask for the most significant lifetime to the present lifetime. So we're always going for the greatest learning opportunity. And in that way, you know, it's not the most famous lifetime or the most interesting lifetime. We always are focused on, well, what's really the best learning for the soul? We're always looking at it from that perspective.
Very cool. And the owner's manual for the mind is a way to help those water droplets find their way back to the ocean.
Right, right. That's really the undercurrent of the book. I'm not sure if you got deep enough into that yet to see that, but the undercurrent is always from the perspective that we are a spiritual being.
It seems like reading the book that it would serve well as a course of study, you know, a book study group with a facilitator. Is that kind of how you imagine it?
Oh, definitely. I do have plans for creating some facilitator materials to help people if they want to do a book study group or something like that on their own. And also, I will have classes available that will be appearing on our website at intuitiveschool.com, so that you can actually study with me as the author through some of these classes. And you know, the way the book's set up, it's a progressive, structured program, a way of starting with the very essence, the basics, and then building on that into more and more complex abilities.
Yeah, I could see how that would work well as a, you know, small groups together to do the exercises that you lay out, and then give each other feedback about how they're doing with it. Let us talk about dream interpretation.
Sure. Probably the most exciting thing about dreams is that everybody can relate to that experience. Even people that have really no prior experience with using the mind, they can relate to having a dream.
Like me, I don't dream a lot, or at least I don't remember my dreams very often, but I certainly have had some vivid dreams over the course of my lifetime.
Well, what we have found actually is that as people start to give their dreams attention, they can recall them much easier. So we work with lots of students who come into a dream interpretation class and say, well, you know, I only remember 2 or 3 dreams in my life. And within just a week, we give them some techniques on how to stimulate that. And, you know, one of the most important things is to have a notebook or something ready to write down your dream when you wake up. So that sends a message to your subconscious mind that you're serious, that you really want to remember your dreams. And within a week, you know, they can remember 1 or 2 or 3 dreams a week, and then as they keep going, it can get up to, you know, 3, 4, 5 dreams a week. So it really just is a matter of attention. When you are paying attention, your mind is saying, oh yeah, this is something you're going to use. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like that saying that we hear a lot in terms of the health of our body, use it or lose it. You know, so it's one of those things, as you start using that ability, the next thing you know, you're going to remember a lot of dreams.
What are dreams? In the book, you said that the subconscious is doing like a download.
Right. Right. So if you go back to the fundamental essence of who we are, that we are energy beings, we are spirit, we are soul. So we are really these eternal beings that have come into this physical life experience just in a very temporary way for the sake of the experience, for the sake of the learning. So now we're experiencing things from 2 completely different perspectives. So we are eternal beings of light and energy on the one hand, and then on the other hand, when we wake up in the morning, we are these mortal beings in these fragile physical bodies that can end. and our experience here will end. So the conscious mind and physical body is very tied to the sense of mortality. That's where we get this sense that things are going to end. But the soul has a completely different perspective. Everything is eternal. So part of the message coming down is really reminding us who we are. And then when we do things in our lives, when we choose which thoughts we're going to entertain and focus upon, okay, that's where we're communicating back to the soul and spirit.
Dream is kind of a glimpse of the bridge, which the subconscious is between the eternal and the mortal.
Exactly, right. And also as we start to meditate more, we start consciously fulfilling that same role as what dreams do. So you start to consciously take your attention, your mind into the deeper levels of consciousness and understanding those insights. And then you start taking more control over that process so that you can actually be responsible for that. I think that dreams and sleep in general really is kind of like a built-in safety mechanism that just kind of helps us stay balanced.
So you also do readings, dream interpretation, past life reading.
Edgar Casey developed this ability naturally. He didn't really understand how he did it, so he didn't teach people how to be able to do these readings. But basically he went into a sleep state, and then he had someone who would facilitate the readings, ask the questions, guide him in and out of the process. And so years later, people started to research how he was actually doing that. And so it starts out through different types of hypnosis, but then I describe it as a hybrid state of hypnosis, because you can't just stay there. As you keep working in and developing that pathway, then you can go into these different parts of the mind. So there's one part of the mind that's called the Akashic Records, and that's where the past life information is received from. And so we have two kinds of readings, past life reading with an individual, and then also a relationship reading where you can get a past lifetime that you shared with one other person. So like a lot of married couples or really close friends, anybody you have a relationship with, you can get a past life relationship reading, and we'll give you some details about that. We also have our health reading. That goes into the spiritual, the mental, emotional, and physical states of our being. And so really that's done in a different place in the subconscious mind. And so the reader is actually reading your health aura and identifying where the disorders are occurring, and then offers suggestions for how you can change any of those disorders to create greater health.
Very cool. So if someone does the reading, as in the reading of this book, that'll help give them some basic skills and do some work on their own or with a study group, and probably open up and give them some guidance where to take it from there.
Exactly.
Anything else on your heart and on your mind that you want to share today?
Well, I think the main thing that really I want to share is simply how important it is for us to come back to that essence of who we are. I think that with all these things going on, and I see it even more now, it's very tempting to become distracted with all the technology and all the different things, and there's a lot of things in our life that keep bringing us back out into just thinking that we're these physical beings. And so many things change in our lives when we get to that point where we recognize that we are spiritual beings, but not just the belief, because a lot of religions, they teach the faith that, just believe it. Well, we're really getting past that point. We don't have to just believe it. Now we can start experiencing it. And that's really the goal.
It's putting it into action. In terms of unity, the Connie Fillmore's 5 basic principles that do that 5th step of not just know it, but apply it and do
Exactly.
it. Cool.
Right.
Be it.
Right.
Excellent. Well, the book is Owner's Manual for the Mind. It's already out. You can get it at Amazon.com, at all your major bookstores. If it's not in your local bookstore or your New Thought or Unity Center, tell them to get it. You can probably find it at intuitiveschool.com. You can always learn more about Patrick at intuitiveschool.com. What do you have coming up for us?
Well, let's see. I have on August 6th, I'm actually speaking at the Unity of Overland Park men's group. So their Saturday breakfast, I'll be speaking at 9 o'clock there.
They have some excellent speakers. The last month was phenomenal. That was me.
Yeah, you spoke there. So actually, it's going to be a tough act to follow.
Oh, I think I'm in good company there. Thank you.
And yeah, did an excellent job there. And also in September, so September 9th, I have what's called a crystal singing bowl meditation. Sometimes I call it a sound bath. And so it's the crystal singing bowls and the didgeridoo, and you just lay on the floor and meditate for about an hour, and it's an amazing experience. Also, that next Sunday on the 11th, I'm doing a book signing at the Unity Church of Overland Park. So you'll get a chance to see me in person, and you can come to either the 9 or the 11 o'clock service, and I'll be at a table after.
Learn more about Unity Church of Overland Park, ucop.org, ucop.org.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And then on the 17th is another chance for a sound bath experience at the Om Prana Yoga Studio in Parkville. I'm actually on the board of directors for a children's school. It's Transcendence Academy. And so you can find out more about us at transcendenceacademy.org. And we are working toward developing a full-day school for children based on these same principles. The idea is to teach kids earlier on that they are spiritual beings.
Well, thank you again, Patrick.
You're welcome.
Very nice.
Thank you for having me.
This is the Buddha Brunch, and if you have appreciated this content and you want to help make sure that further content comes out, please go to patreon.com/Ned Kelly and make a pledge there. It's really easy, it's really fun, it's a great way to be a co-creator with this work. Thank you once again, Patrick Andries, intuitiveschool.com. Namaste.
Namaste.